pledge allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. McCloskey, would you please do a roll call?
Mrs. Dobos. She's here. I know she's online. Mr. Christensen.
Here.
Mrs. Roll. Here. Mr. McGregor. Mr. Modrak.
Here.
Mr. Nagel.
Here.
Mrs. Turner.
Here.
Mr. Spicuzza.
Present.
Mr. Skalsko.
Here.
8 members present.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, for public comments, we have an attached link on board docs. If you go to the public site, you can find a link there. You can submit your public comments for this meeting here tonight. So please, we're going to work off of that format at this time. Also at this time, Mrs. Dolbus is attending the meeting via remote, and she will be back with us at our next meeting in November. So attempt to adopt the agenda for business items.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Roll, second by Mr. Spicuzza. Is that a vote, is it?
Yep.
No.
Open. Mrs. Dobos.
Yeah, I'm texting her now.
You type her motion into the comment box.
Apologize for the delay.
Motion's going to carry.
Motion's going to carry. We have next on the agenda, approval of the minutes.
So moved.
Mrs. Roll move,
Second.
second by Mr. Christensen. Roll call vote, please.
Voting is open. Motion carries.
Next on our agenda, we have an announcement of executive sessions that took place on September 29th for personnel and other legal matters, and receive information on October 13th, October 20th, and October 27th. Also, all three were for personnel, other legal matters, and to receive information. Next on our agenda, we're going to have presentations made by our student government representatives, which will be Andrew Lippert and Evan Zoll. Andrew and Evan, are you there, please?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Are you ready to go?
Yes.
All
I'll
right,
go
go ahead, please.
first, and I'll hand it off to Drew.
Yes.
First off, I wanted to talk about the homecoming festival we had. We didn't have an enormous amount of people come. We had about, I think, 120-ish students, but we were prepared to have 200 students come. So it was about 65% of what we were expecting, which was perfectly fine, and actually helped us with some of the safety measures. We didn't have to worry about that too much. And with that being said, we were able to social distance and maintain all cautious health standards. And we did really make the best out of what we had, and a lot of the feedback we got from the event was positive, and I think it brought a lot of light to some students, and a more dark time for them. So I just wanted to thank everyone who made this event possible. It really was a good turnout. Next, I want to talk about homecoming court. And with this, we were able to carry out elections similar to we had years past, with representation from all of the high school clubs. We announced the first round winners at the homecoming festival. So we did get to present some of the winners in front of some of the students. And the king, queen, prince, and princess were all announced at the football game last Friday. So we were able to maintain, our traditional homecoming election as we had years past, and we were able to give all opportunities to all the students that would have been years past. So I'm glad we didn't face many obstacles in doing that, because I know that's a pretty sacred tradition we have year to year. So now I'll pass it off to Drew.
Thank you, Andrew. Or Evan.
Yeah, thank you, Evan. So I just wanted to go over one thing that I mentioned in our last meeting. I talked about that SGA was planning to pass out individually wrapped cookies, and we were able to do this on the first days of in-person learning. Again, just like Evan said, this was another event that got a lot of positive feedback, and we had enough that we were able to pass out in the next 2 days as well. And ultimately, it was a nice surprise, which was our main goal as SGA to kind of please the students as they were coming back in a dark time. Additionally, a subcommittee in SGA is running a Halloween costume contest tomorrow and Thursday to satisfy both groups of students, and the winners for both groups will receive a prize. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. Gentlemen, thank you for your time and your efforts. More than welcome to stick around and watch the rest of the meeting. At this time, we'll have a presentation from the PTO Council from Mrs. Kristen Christoback. Ms. Christoback?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay.
Please.
Hi. Hello. First I'm going to start off with the Abraham Lincoln Elementary. This school year continues to be unlike any other. For students schooling remotely and hybrid, they have been holding spirit days, such as Wacky Hair Day and Pajama Day, in hopes to keep spirits high. Lincoln's PTO has purchased 2 picnic tables for the playground area. This is helpful when students eat lunch outside. They have also purchased lanyards for the kindergartners. This leads to less touching of masks by little hands. The youngest Lincoln Friends have been celebrating Miss S by participating in a service project. New socks have been donated in all sizes and will be donated to SHIM to help those in our community prepare for the winter months. Since we cannot have the annual Halloween parties or costume parades, volunteers are creating party treat bags to celebrate Halloween. At the teacher's discretion, each student will get a bag full of activity sheets, party favors, and a district-approved snack. Bags were also created for the remote school learners who will pick them up when they pick up their other school materials. Ongoing fundraising efforts include Moe's Taco Kits, Amazon Smile, Sarah's Candy, and Market Day. They are looking forward to the virtual book fair at the end of the month. Ben Franklin Elementary. Ben Franklin has been busy. They just finished their virtual book fair with Scholastics. Families turned in pictures for a pumpkins for the virtual pumpkin patch. Staff and students will get to vote for their favorites this week. A hayride at Simmons will happen on Thursday for families, weather permitting. And the PTO provided a craft and a treat for all students for Halloween. Currently, they have a few fundraisers happening, such as Sarah's Candy, Mrs. Fields, and Spirit Wear going on right now for the holidays. George Washington Elementary. George Washington has had a very busy fall. They've had multiple fundraisers, including a fall flower sale, pepperoni roll and pierogi sale, Chipotle Spirit Night, Chick-fil-A Spirit Night, and a Jersey Mike Spirit Night, coming up on October 27th. When hybrid days started, they offered a welcome back Kona Ice Night. Each George Washington student received a certificate for a free ice and visited the truck at school one evening. The PTO hosted a virtual Halloween themed bingo and are holding a virtual pumpkin decorating contest this month. Red Ribbon Week just ended. Students took a pledge to lead a drug-free lifestyle, and each day was a special dress-up day. For the week of Halloween, snacks, crafts, and Halloween toys, non-edible goodie bags will be provided for all students. The Yearbook Committee has been worked very hard on promoting photo opportunities for parents to take pictures to share so that they are able to provide a yearbook this year. They have also started a yearbook cover contest where students will enter to win a chance to have their artwork to be on the cover of the yearbook. They also continue to work on ways to still provide holiday events in a virtual or social distance manner. Memorial Elementary. The Memorial Elementary PTA has been bringing fall fun to the students and teachers. They have brought some cheer to them as they come and go each day with fun fall decorations at the entrances. Halloween looks a little different this year, but the kids will still have some fun when they are presented with a Halloween box full of crafts, coloring activities, and snacks. They have been encouraging families and the community to help us to fundraise using some traditional ways. Sarah's Candy sales and Scholastic book fairs, and some new ways with spirit days at restaurants, dine in and take out, and the holiday plant sale. They're also encouraging families to download the Box Top for Education app, as the program is moving to a digital format and the traditional box top forms will be phased out over the next few years. The PTA has also been very vocal with families in the matters of emergency cards, school procedures in drop-off and pickup, and the general health and well-being concerning everything COVID-19 and more. Lastly, they have been looking into a new year for additional fundraising ideas and ways to keep the teachers, administrative staff, and student spirits up during this not-so-typical school year. Neil Armstrong Middle School. There is not a whole lot going on at NAMS currently. They just wrapped up a spiritware sale, Moe's Taco Kit Night, and a mask sale. Online Santa Shop is in the works, preparing to sell pop sockets and Love Your Melon hats from last year in the near future. Also planning a special treat for the teachers coming up soon. Otherwise, they are patiently waiting to be able to plan activities once it can be done safely and trying to find creative ways to try and give students and staff a sense of normalcy during the school year. Independence Middle School. The Independence Middle School Spiritware sale was a huge success. This week, the Red Ribbon Week, the students will wear red and team shirts, team up against drugs. The 2020 craft show has been canceled due to COVID-19. The Spiritware sales will offset almost all of the craft show deficit. Club signups have started this week with the Remind app. That is all.
Thank you, Mrs. Krista Beck. Appreciate the update at this time. Also,
You're welcome.
at this time, Dr. Jan Sandy is going to give us an update on our COVID status here within the Bethel Park School District. Dr. Jan Sandy.
Thank you, Mr. Modrak. Let me just start with the positivity rate, and then I'll talk with folks, share with you where we are with the district COVID cases. So right now, just looking at the last 5 days, the Allegheny County positivity rate, which is basically the number of folks that have been tested and versus the number of cases that came back positive, gets a percent based on the 10,000 folks. So it's falling really very consistently over the last 5 days in the 7% range. It ranges anywhere from 7.19 to 7.36. So that's pretty consistent. As far as Bethel Park, I know we shared last time that Bethel Park was lower, significantly lower, but the numbers have taken a turn. And we are ranging over the last 5 days from 6.04 to around a little over 7%. And today was not a good day. It ranged almost 14%. So just want to remind folks that the ranges are based on a 7-day collection of percentages and average together that gives you a rate, and those are updated once again weekly. So right now we're a little bit high when you take the average over the last 5 days. As far as what's going on in Bethel Park, we've had some correspondence that have gone out through school messenger from our superintendent talking about school closures. And just looking at the Pennsylvania Department of Ed and the Pennsylvania Health Department, we are following the guidelines. But also, just to be clear, when we follow those guidelines, we also have to take into account individual schools and their needs based upon really operation. So, for example, if there is a second positive case, and we are in the moderate range and it falls within 14 days, we're compelled to close that school from anywhere between 5 and 7 school days. The caveat that I alluded to is really based upon operation. In other words, we have to trace that positive case and look at the exposure rate, which is what we're following currently as confirmed by Allegheny County, which is anyone that you're close to, if you're the positive case, closer than 6 feet for a total of 15 minutes or longer consecutively, you would be considered as an exposed person. Doesn't mean you have COVID, but it means you are falling under that range of exposure. That means you would be compelled to quarantine. If it's a student, basically that student would be able to receive their education remotely. and many of our teachers that have been exposed and paraprofessionals, they would be able to work from home as well. So right now we have Lincoln School that is, they're working on hopefully returning on the 29th. And we also have today, we've noticed that we have an additional case that we sent a letter out and then we got another positive case. So the latest letter did not come out because, one, it was just timely, and also it still falls within the parameters. So if you have between 2 and 4 cases within 14 days, and that's where we are right now with Bethel Memorial, we have 3 cases right now. So it's still within the 2 to 4 range. We are compelled to close that school. We're closing it based upon also the fact that we have several employees that have been exposed. We have a number of students, that have been exposed, and we're erring on the side of, an abundance of caution. So that school will remain closed, and students can return on Monday, November 6th, I think it is, right? That's the date. No, the 9th. 6th is the last day and that's a remote day, a synchronous day, so that won't impact students. So they're in return on the 9th. So that's where things are as far as our school system and as far as how we rank with a positivity rate in conjunction and coordination with Allegheny County. Thank you.
Dr. Janice Sani, thank you very much for the presentation. Any quick questions from the board members of Dr. Jan Sani? Okay, thank you. At this time, Ms. Zundel, will you make the solicitor's report?
Thank you, Mr. Modrak. I'm happy to do that. So between the last voting meeting and this voting meeting, the solicitor, the role is ever changing, right? But primarily have been working with the school administration on personnel and labor matters, advising around the legal aspects of reopening, the gathering limitations, as they relate to sporting events and other events, have seen some changes. And so as each change came through the state and the court system, I was working with administration to understand and implement those gathering limitations that we now have some more certainty on. So in addition, there is an agenda item, and I'm happy to explain it at this point.
Yes.
The Families First Coronavirus Response Act, FFCRA, implementing that is one of the aspects that our office has provided advisement on to the administration, and I just want to take a couple moments to explain that so that the public understands what the reasons might be, and this is just a general overview of what the law says, so that we can best understand that. The FFCRA was put into effect and passed at the end of March. It was effective April 1st of 2020, so it's not new. It has been implemented, but we're seeing its utilization is increasing as we see cases of COVID increase. But individuals can be eligible for that leave even if they are not a COVID positive person. There are various other reasons. The FFCRA has 2 components. The act will end on December 31st of 2020 unless it's extended by some act of the legislature. The 2 components are the Emergency Paid Sick Leave Act, EPSLA, or the FMLA expansion component. And so we'll look at the Emergency Paid Sick Leave component first. There are 6 reasons that somebody could qualify: if they're subject to a federal, state, or local quarantine or isolation order, if they've been advised by a healthcare provider to self-quarantine due to a medical condition or for some other reason, if they're experiencing symptoms of COVID-19 and might be seeking a test, or if they're caring for somebody else who has to quarantine or isolate due to a medical condition or an isolation order, or if the individual is caring for a son or daughter if the school or daycare setting is closed due to COVID-19. and that applies even if it's not closed every single day of the week. It can apply even if a school is on a hybrid type schedule. The second component of the sixth reason is sort of a catch-all, any other similar condition to COVID. It's a catch-all. The FMLA expansion component of EPSLA does entitle, so Emergency Paid Sick Leave Act entitles folks to 10 paid sick days up to a cap of how much payment they're entitled to, $511. So the FMLA Expansion Act only covers folks who are caring for a son or daughter if the school or place of care is closed due to COVID. And it really just essentially provides another reason for an FMLA leave in addition to all of the other reasons that somebody could take a family medical leave recognized under federal law. And that entitles the individual to a period of time of 2/3 pay, or pay caps attendant to that, and 12 total weeks.
Great. And can we clarify that the FFCRA is the Family First Coronavirus Response Act, so that parents understand? Because we use a lot of acronyms around here, so I just want to make sure that parents understand.
You're right, Kim. Correct. Okay, that's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Modrak.
Thank you. Any other questions? Dr. Ginsani, yes, sir.
I just wanted to clarify one thing in conjunction with closures, school closures. I had mentioned, that we have a school that's currently closed and that we have another school that's currently closed. Part of the length of the closure that I was not clear about, and I want to be very clear about it, has to do with the number of adults in the building that have to quarantine. So if they were exposed and they have to quarantine, we have a large amount, we really can't run that building, with students and not having enough teachers and having such a difficulty with substitutes. So that's another reason why we've gone to the length that we have. It's based on the 14 days quarantine, counting weekends and all that, calendar days. That's why it's as long as it is right now. Some folks might think, wow, that's really long. Why are you going 7 days versus 5? Well, it's because we don't have enough teachers to have the building run. I just want to be clear about that. Thank you.
To clarify, Dr. Ginsani, before you give that microphone up, is we can have them quarantine at home and still teach, but we cannot bring them into the building. So that is why the students are still receiving instruction on the virtual situation, but we are unable to bring the teach.
Yeah, that's a great question. The regs say, and the recommendations from the Pennsylvania Department of Health is close the building. So with our remote section, phase, we're able to teach, and the teachers that even have to quarantine can teach from home. So there's no issue there. That once again, if you're quarantining, doesn't mean you are a positive COVID case. It just means you had close contact and out of safety, where you have to quarantine for 14 days. So to answer your question, the remote part works. When we don't have enough staff to run your building, everybody can learn remotely.
I just wanted clarification for all the parents out there.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Turner. No other questions. Dr. Temperio, would you be able to present your superintendent report?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Vice President. Most of what I have to report has already been said, but I don't think it hurts for our residents and our parents to hear it again. We have had an increase of COVID cases in the Bethel Park community. As has just been mentioned, we have had to close 2 schools, Lincoln and Memorial, due to COVID. And one of the issues is not only closing because we have cases in those 2 buildings, but their contacts and the insufficient amount of staff to keep the buildings open. Therefore, what I'd like to share with our parents and our residents is, at the present time, the district will continue in the hybrid model, and we will say, I know it's not the same as having all the children back in school, but it does seem to be working better Our staff seems to be more comfortable with it. Parents seem to be more comfortable with it. But our goal will continue to be to get the children and all of the children back in the school buildings as soon as possible. But currently, we will continue to monitor the situation. We will update the parents and our public as to where we are, and we will continue to provide more details for parents and community as to where the district is and where we hope to be in the future. At the present time, the district is continuing and will continue in the hybrid model. Thank you, Mr. Vice President.
All right, thank you, Dr. D'Imperio. I'm sorry I missed one other item. We have committee reports, so I believe at this time, Mrs. Roll.
For Steele Center, we had one case there also tested positive, but that person was not in touch with the students, so they did not have to close. But the important part there is that Steele Center has to be kept in the loop from the various schools as to when we are open and when we're closed, because the students are being impacted by the number of hours that if they have to be pulled out, if we close the school and they're impacted school-wise, they need to know so they can make adjustments to make sure that they stay on track. The other thing is from the AIU, they had to close Sunrise and Pathfinder, which is right in our backyard, because they also had cases there. So those will just be maybe, I think, 7 to 10 days for them. The other thing is as we know, driver shortage and Paris and teacher shortages in many of the schools. And what some of the schools are doing are taking people who have a bachelor's degree and putting them in some classes, and they get like an emergency certificate or something, because many of the schools do, the teacher shortage is so severe. So that's one way the AIU is helping them also. And they also have been getting funding, and so we should be keeping in touch with them, because there are a lot of opportunities that maybe we could take advantage of also.
Thank you, Mrs. Roll. Appreciate that update. Any other committee reports? Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a
Ms.
question.
Walsh. Turner.
Dr. D'Imperio, point of clarification. We're staying in the current hybrid model, which puts kindergarten in school, all kindergarten children in school 4 days a week.
That is correct, and thank you for reminding me of that clarification.
Okay. All right, thank you, Ms. Walsh. At this time, we have public comments on agenda items. Mrs. Dobos.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. We have several public comments on agenda items, and I would like to just take a moment to remind the public that the format has changed, and if you'd like to make a public comment, there's a link on our webpage as to how you would go about making that public comment. Our first public comment is from Marcy Yee, and she lives at 5863 Wallace Avenue. I'd first like to thank everyone for putting in their time and effort into trying to make the best of the 2021 school year so far. From the elected volunteers who are making decisions to the teachers and staff who are working to keep our children safe, engaged, and educated. Thank you. While I would love for all my children to be able to go 5 days, 100% back into the building, it is simply not the right time to fill the Bethel Park classrooms. We need to remember that we are knee-deep in a worldwide pandemic. The coronavirus cases are rising. Our state just set an all-time high today. The months of December and November are the most stressful and challenging for children, even without being in a pandemic. Adding yet another change to their routine will only make this worse. I urge you to consider sticking to the original plan of hybrid until January. The children are finally adjusting to this new normal. Staying hybrid, you are helping to keep our children, your children and grandchildren, socially distanced. Many children who have IEPs also have underlying health conditions. Right now, these students are safely able to attend 4 days a week. While they may be exposed to both Group A and Group B, they are physically able to maintain a safe distance from their peers. Filling our classrooms right now will, as you have declared, eliminate any chance of safe social distancing, thus increasing the risk to this already fragile population. I cannot speak to the situation of any other Bethel Park family. I can, however, speak on my own family. We have a high school senior who's preparing for college. She has been in the gifted program since 3rd grade and is currently taking AP honors classes. She has been 100% virtual and it is working for her. We have an 8th grade student who has a learning disability, a compromised medical condition, and is in learning support. He's been back to school 4 days a week and it's made a huge difference for him. We also have a 4th grade student who's perfectly average when it comes to her learning. The child, however, requires the social aspect that comes with being around her peers. She's been participating in hybrid learning and she's been thriving since starting this format. Our 1st grader struggled for most at the start of the school year. He did not possess the skills to navigate a Chromebook, nor had he learned how to read with only half a year of kindergarten education. His current teacher had tried several different techniques at the start of the school year to teach this class. She kept changing little things in order to improve day to day. Now he has started hybrid learning. I'm seeing great improvement with him as well. Hybrid is working. Please consider rushing into the full 5 days. Reconsider rushing into the full 5 days of face-to-face learning. Going full-time will increase the risk to those with underlying health conditions like my 8th grader who needs to be in person. Going full-time will increase the chance that our students and staff are going to be exposed to the virus, thus causing more of our schools to close for longer periods. This would truly be a detriment to those who require social engagement that hybrid is providing. Would it be easier to fill the classrooms and send everyone back to full-time? Absolutely. It would be easier for everyone, teacher and parents alike. Instead of doing what is easier, please do what is right. Please stick to your original plan of staying hybrid until January. And then the next comment is from a Becky Roberts, and she lives at 364 Church Road. My thought is that we need to continue to do the safest thing available to all involved, which leaves us with hybrid learning through January and then reassess at that time. There's still a way to include everybody by continuing hybrid. Our kids, families, and teachers need consistency, and the many quarantine in and out situations that can possibly arise are just beginning, and we're thinking about full in person. It just doesn't make any sense. This hybrid is scary enough, but it's manageable due to the intense safety plan that you guys work on so hard. Even with social distancing for our community, the increase is happening, and it's happening slowly. Our own district is beginning to spread with hybrid, so what will full in-person do when we can't possibly social distance? In some ways, this will be the fastest way to shut down and have to go full remote, so that makes me wonder if that is your goal. In saying that is it my mother or your mother that must reside in heaven as a result of 3 weeks of full back in school to happen so we can shut down? That's a permanent address change. We're kidding ourselves if we think our area will not be shutting down again if we choose this full back in person path. If we look around the country, even young teachers, staff, faculty with no prior health issues are continuing to die. Guess we're just going to let that happen here? I know that's not what we want, but if we want to open the floodgates when we know COVID is on the other side, what would be the logical consequence? This would be a failed lesson plan for sure if the stated goal objective was safety. My heart hurts for our community. We need to remember to be patient. My high hopes that we were all going to band together and give it our best shot have all but been dashed watching the online presence. My hopes are that you would be only swayed by what we know works, social distancing and masks. If we can't put full capacity in any building, what makes us think a school would be safe at full capacity? If we do make an error, then we should always err on the side of patience, listening for understanding, and provide some grace in all situations. An error that can cost us just a few teachers is unacceptable no matter how many we have. I want my son to go to school, but not at the cost of his teacher, mother, or grandmother. Thank you for your consideration to continue hybrid and reassess for full reopening in January. Our next comment is from Robin Sakala, and did I hear that Mrs. Walsh Turner
Yes.
wanted to read that?
I was gonna try and help you out.
Okay.
I am writing because I am concerned about the full return to school. I do believe our students need to be in school. However, I also believe we need to consider their health and safety. While not perfect, I believe hybrid is the option that best balances the health and safety of everyone involved with the need of our kids to be educated face to face. The board has already conceded that sending kids fully on ground means that they will not be able to maintain a social distance. CDC guidelines emphasize the importance of 6 feet distancing in containing the spread of COVID. How can we even consider sending kids into a situation where they will not remain socially distant a majority of the day? I frequently hear restaurants and stores are open. It's time to send kids back to school fully. However, this argument is flawed because restaurants and stores are required to implement social distancing. I wholly support kids with IEPs attending full-time, yet fully on-ground plan could compromise the health of these kids to obtain the educational support they need. I understand no plan is perfect. I understand health concerns, daycare concerns, and the struggles of at-home education. For all I believe the district can attempt to balance these issues by the remaining hybrid. A COVID outbreak would be devastating to our community, and I cannot get this whole thing to go. Yeah, because I can't see anymore. Sorry.
A COVID outbreak would be devastating to our community. Are we willing to put the health of our students, teachers, and staff on the line? Could we live with even one death or long-term health complication resulting from an outbreak that could have possibly been avoided with appropriate social distancing? Cases are rising throughout the country and Allegheny County. Projections show a continued rise this winter. Bethel Park's numbers are relatively low, but we don't live in a vacuum. I implore you to continue the hybrid model. Thank you.
Okay, I also would like to say that was from Robin Sakala at 2793 West Monroe Street. The next comment is from Rachel Brecht, and that person lives at 5933 Puddingstone Lane. And that comment is, I find myself writing to implore the board and district to stay with the current hybrid model. I feel strongly this is the safest compromise for our student population and our teacher staff in the buildings. In the hybrid model, the student is seeing their teacher 2 days per week. Those with IEPs are attending 4 days per week. In this model, the parents have the choice to have remote learning or hybrid. It truly is the safest decision to maintain the best social distancing for both the student, the school staff, and the families at home. As a community, we can continue to decrease the spread of COVID. Please remain in the hybrid model till at least January 2021.
Pam, just a quick correction. That was Catherine Taylor, 5911 Leprechaun Drive.
Oh,
Rachel Brecht's comment was for the general comments.
I'm sorry. Thank you. You want to read the next one, Mr. Nagel?
I will. The next one is Melinda Jerzik.
We gotta read Rachel's comment. Oh, no, we don't. Okay, go ahead.
Melinda Jerzik, 5988 Monongahela Avenue. I urge the school board to increase the amount of days the students are in school. The students need in-person instruction. We are doing a huge disservice to our children. My child's education is important to me above sports, extracurricular activities, etc., and I can't allow him to go to class. I do understand health and safety and the concerns of teaching staff. The district has done an excellent job in cleaning and enforcing masks and hand hygiene. My son is a student at Memorial School. I was just informed his school will be closed and the students can't return to the building until November 9th. The 2 COVID exposures were 10 days apart, and I'm not sure I understand why the school has to close. Our young students are not thriving in the remote setting. Hybrid is extremely difficult to keep him on task. His teacher tells me he is an excellent student at school. He is on task and follows direction. While at home, he cries before we even turn the computer on. A first grader should be introduced to a love of learning. His entire educational career is being molded right now, and there is a strong dislike now. I fear what the next few months will do if he has to continue to learn on the computer. He complains of headaches and sore eyes. Please give the parents and students an option of remote learning if they need that option, but also please give the parents and students the option of in-person learning if needed also.
So the other one is also in general, but I think it's related to, same topic as the other. Should we just read that one now also?
Yes.
Have we read that one yet? Number 6
No,
on
go
row
ahead,
6.
sir.
Okay, let me just change the formatting so we can see it. Okay, this is Portia Salvi, 5927 Glen Hill Drive. Today, Memorial Elementary School was closed due to COVID. The email stated cases in the past week, and we were only informed of a case on October 17th, and today, October 27th. For me, a week is 7 days. Why then is Memorial closed? Something's not adding up. I think someone stated in the meeting it is a 14 days. Please clarify in the emails of dates and times in the future of what dates clarify a closure.
Okay. I believe, is that all? Well, one more?
You want me to read it?
The other general comment, maybe we should read now too, since it does deal with similar aspects.
Isn't that the one that you already read just a little bit ago?
The one with the American Association of Pediatrics.
Yeah, wasn't that the one you read?
Yeah.
I think it was.
She didn't read it. She read the other one.
Oh, okay.
She didn't read that. Go ahead, Mrs. Dobos, read that, please.
Okay, so this one is this one's Melinda Jerzyk? No, this one's Rachel Brecht, right?
Yes.
Puddingstone.
Yeah.
Okay, the American Association of Pediatrics has provided research-based guidance that spacing desks at least 3 feet apart while having students and teachers wear cloth masks can help prevent the spread of COVID-19. Initial walkthrough data shared at a previous board meeting in August indicated that for desks to be adequately spaced to meet these safety guidelines, the maximum number of desks that would fit in the average elementary classroom was between 12 to 16 desks. William Penn has the largest third grade class in the district with 26 students in each class. If we move forward with a full return in November, can you explain how we will be able to follow the AAP's guidance and keep our kids and teachers safe? I would also like to ask the district to explore the option of dedicated instruction to those students who, based on the rationale outlined above, will remain virtual for the foreseeable future. Asking our teachers to focus on both virtual and in-person students, while an acceptable short-term solution, is not sustainable long-term for teachers or students. I'm confident that there are board-certified teachers who would be eager to step in to support the virtual students in a more dedicated way, even on a short-term contract basis. That's all that I have, that I see for the public comments for this meeting, for both before and after. Afterwards, we can take a look again to see if there are any more.
No, we didn't read
All right, thank you, Mrs. Dobos.
Right?
I think, next on the agenda is
Jim, did we read Melissa's comment?
we can confirm that, folks.
I don't think we read that one, did we? It's number 5. It's 5.
Yes.
Oh, we read it? Okay.
Thank you.
They're out of order, made me
You're
confused.
all out of order and confused.
Sorry.
Folks, thank you for your patience on that, and thank you, board members, for pitching in and accomplishing those comments. We got them done at least. On business items, we're going to have Mr. Spacuzza take over at this point for an addition. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, there's one addition under number 1 under facility and services. We need to add the Hayes Design Group at a not to exceed number of 58,000. That's under number 1 under facility and services.
Okay, thank you, sir. Again, that will be under facilities and services, appointment of architect to conduct a feasibility study. That will be the Hayes Group, not to exceed 58,000. Okay, thank you. At this time, we have a consent agenda. Mr. Christensen, would you be able to take care of those items?
Yes, I move that the board adopt the, how many items are there total? The 18 items listed under the consent agenda.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Christensen, second by Mrs. Bilbos. Any questions or thoughts?
Yes, I'd like to comment on number 15. I just want to reassure, particularly the band boosters, that this is just a matter of moving money. We're not getting rid of the money that we have there for the band uniforms. We're just moving it around into the correct and right place for it to be.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Bilbos. Any other board members? Okay, Mr. McClosson, at this time, would you call for a vote?
Voting is open. Motion carries.
Thank you, sir. At this time, Personnel Committee, Mr. Scalzo, would you be able to cover those items, please?
Yes. We have 4 items. The first item, approval of Extra Duty Responsibility Program 2020-2021.
Second.
Moved, second by Mr. Spacuzza.
Could I make a comment under that one just real briefly?
Yes, please, sir.
There's an item on there tonight. It's new, well, not new, I guess, to the district, but new to the recent district. We are going to have a Rotary Interact Club again in the district. Just to give you an example of what that is, Interact is a Rotary-sponsored service club for young people. It gives young people, mainly high school students, the opportunity to participate in fun and meaningful service projects. It's self-supporting and self-governing, thus encouraging the development of leadership skills. The organization does 2 projects every year, one that helps school and community and promotes international understanding. It is being sponsored by the Bethel Park, I believe, Evening Club and the Morning Upper St. Clair Bethel Park Breakfast Club, and it's a really great addition for our students. Thank you.
Thank you for the insight, Mr. Spacuzza. Any other comments or questions?
It was really funny because somebody that I went to school with in the early 90s here found the original Interact Club that started in 1991 here in Bethel Park that had been defunct. So glad to see that it's come back.
It's back, yes. I think Mrs. Scott would be happy, right, Mary Ann? Yes. No other comments? Mr. McCausland will take it for a vote.
Voting is open. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Number 2, approval of sabbatical leave of absence.
Second.
Motion was made by Mr. Scalzo, second by Mr. Christensen. Any comments? If not, Mr. McCausland, vote.
Voting is
Call for a
open.
vote.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Number 3, appointment of personnel.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Scalzo, second by Mr. Spacuzza. Any comments or questions? If not, Mr. McCausland, vote please.
Voting is open. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Number 4, temporary change of assignment.
Second.
Motion was made by Mr. Scalzo, second by Mr. Christensen. Any discussion? Okay, Mr. McCausland, vote please.
Voting is open. Motion carries.
Thank you.
One more item.
One more, number 5.
I don't see number 5.
It's the
You have
approval,
to-
approval of the leave of absences for the Family First Coronavirus Response Act.
Not on yours?
It is not on mine.
Okay. Mr. Nagel.
Refresh, Mr. Scalzo, refresh.
Okay, I'll refresh. Hold on.
Oh, Mr. Nagel, please, go.
Number 5, approval of leave of absence, Families First Coronavirus Response Act.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Nagel for approval of leave of absence, Families First Coronavirus Response Act, second by Mr. Spicuzza. Any discussion? Again, Ms. Sundel did cover this earlier with her presentation. Up for voting?
Voting is open. Motion carries.
All right, thank you. At this time, we'll go on to Facilities and Services Committee. Mr. Spicuzza.
Thank you, Mr. Modrak. One item under Facility and Services this evening, the appointment of architect to conduct a feasibility study. The Board of School Directors approves the administration's recommendation to appoint the Hayes Design Group at a cost not to exceed $58,000 as architect to conduct a school-wide feasibility study for the district.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Spicuzza to appoint as architect to conduct a feasibility study of the Hayes Design Group, seconded by Mrs. Roll. Any discussion? And being Mr. McCausland, will take it to the vote, please.
Voting is open. Motion carries 6 yes, 2 no.
Good. We're checking one more time for public comments.
I don't see any new ones.
Nothing? Ms. Douglas, you see anything on public comments?
I do not.
Okay. At this time, we'll go to board comments. Mr. Spicuzza.
Thank you, Mr. Modrak. The only comment I'd like to make this evening is send out my condolences to Joe Consolmagno and his family for the passing of his mother. Joe, as everyone knows, Joe does a tremendous amount of work and great effort here in the district, and I just wish him our best at this time.
Thank you, sir. Forgot to mention that. Thank you. Mrs. Roll.
Yes, I just want to say that the Bethel Park Chamber will be doing a project with our DECA Club this year. We have 4 students. There'll be 2 projects, and they will be creating a project that will make the public aware of what shop, meaning shop local, really means to the community, you know, in reality, as far as revenue and the reasons to shop local. They also will be doing a lot around marketing. The last time they did a project with us, they won state competition, so we're hoping again.
Good. All right, thank you. Mr. Christensen.
The only thing I wanted to comment on, and Mr. Spicuzza, we probably should have commented on this section when we voted on it, but just to explain this feasibility study, I think we talked about it last time. We should probably bring it up again. That, you know, this is really important for our strategic plan that we're working on to help us have the insight into how to better utilize our facilities or give us the insight into upgrades we need to make to our facilities to deliver a more consistent level of instruction across the district, but also help us manage our costs of instruction also across the entire district. So that's what this item was for on the agenda tonight.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Nagel.
Yes, I would just like to say, as we continue on with hybrid, I've urged the board, and the board agrees, that we have to look at ways to reach those students who hybrid's not working for, whether or not they're 504s, IEPs, or just general education students that this format doesn't work for. I'll continue pushing and making sure that all our kids are recognized, and we try to meet them where they need to be met through this global pandemic.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Walsh, Turner.
Along with Mr. Sukuza, I send my condolences to Mr. Castamagna and his family. Also, I'm going to ask for the public for, to keep patient with the hybrid model. It is working. We need your patience. There's a lot of concern about community spread. We're listening to a lot of people, and I'm also in agreement with Mr. Nagel about those students that it is not working for. We do need to look at alternatives. Encourage parents to contact their principals as we start that process over the next couple of days. And, the safety of every child in this district is everyone in this room's first priority. Children, staff, all the way around, but the safety of these children is our first priority.
Thank you. Mr. Scalzo.
No comment tonight.
Thank you. Mrs. Dobas, I'll let you finish, but I have a little comment, okay?
Okay, I just would like to thank the administration for all the work they've done over this last couple weeks, and for their recommendation that we continue to stay hybrid. I know that we are all concerned about the students who are most vulnerable to the learning situation when they're in hybrid, and hopefully we can resolve that. But I think that for the safety of all of us, students, staff, and in particular the community as a whole, I think it's a wise decision to recommend that we stay in hybrid until further notice, as described by Dr. D'Imperio, and thank him. I would like to thank you for your leadership, Dr. D'Imperio, through this difficult time.
All right, thank you, Ms. Dobas.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Dobas. That's much appreciated.
Well, with nothing else, and is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made to adjourn by Mr. Nagel, second by Mr. Spicuzzo. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion carries.